Welcome to the Zone Coverage Football Show, your pre-game build-up to Pigskin Sundays. Catch the show live on the TuneIn and Speaker apps, or listen back in its podcast form via iTunes and Stitcher. Here's your host, live from Tees Towers, Mark Tees.
The show is now sponsored by DynastySportsEmpire.com, your number one resource for all your Dynasty sports needs. Whether it's MMA, baseball, basketball, NHL, DynastySportsEmpire.com has you covered. So head over to DynastySportsEmpire.com and sign up today. Well, here we are, yet another Sunday Zone Coverage Football Show coming at you live from Tees Towers. Another packed show today. We have David Tossell, the Director of Public Affairs for the NFL within the UK and Europe, coming right up. The phone lines are open, 07444 048 266. Call now. Oh, there we have it. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Sunday, the 19th of July, 2015. Episode, what number are we on? I do believe it's episode 45. Packed show for you guys today. The chat room is open if you are listening via the Spreaker app. Just head on over to good old Spreaker.com, search for Zone Coverage Football Show. Join in the chat room. We have, so far, both Johns, Sean and Noel. Noel posted there was an issue with the sound, so I'm curious to know, did you guys hear the theme tune? If not, you just sat there in silence, and apologies if that was the case. Moving on then, another live option, you can listen via the TuneIn app. Again, just search for Zone Coverage Football Show, and you'll find us there. If you want to listen back on demand, you can do that via, I always forget this part now, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and we even have a YouTube channel. Yes, that's it. You can watch it. A dull, monotonous video of the show with my rambling. So that's all good. Apparently the sound is all good. It was Noel. So we are firing on all cylinders. So as I said at the top of the show, during the credits rolling in there, we do have David Tossell, Director of Public Affairs for the NFL in the UK and Europe. I spoke to him on Saturday. He was good enough to take 10-15 minutes out of his time to indulge me with a few questions. I asked him about the deal with Tottenham that just happened, the rumours about the Jaguars re-signing a new deal and the Packers coming over next year. I also asked him about the merchandise within the NFL Europe shop, so I'm going to play that for you in a moment. I'll drop in the chat room then. Beyond that, I've got the NFL news, some big contracts signed this week, so we'll sort of go through that, see what your thoughts are there as well. Also, we did the NFC 2015 players under pressure last week, so this time I'm going to do the AFC players under pressure. Like I said, I'll get this interview done and dusted for you guys. I know most of you here for that. You want to hear what David had to say in regards to the NFL in the UK and going forward and so on and so on. So I'll play that in a moment. Just a few more plugs. You find us on Facebook, Twitter, at Zone Coverage FS. Keep those tweets coming into the show. If you want to text in, you can do 07444 048 266. What else do we? Yeah, Google, do us a favour. I know a lot of people have been retweeting the show and stuff. If it's come up now, we are live via Spreaker. Just retweet that to your people. We're getting quite a few new people on board in the chat room. So you can't see me now, but I am bowing down to all the retweets and the word that everyone's putting out. I was speaking to Noel via direct message on Facebook prior to jumping on air. Noel's been an absolute trooper. And Sean, as you'll remember as well, knows Noel really well. He was on last week talking fantasy news. So if you want a bit of fantasy insight, I suggest you go back and listen to that. Right, less of my rambling. This is what you guys are here for. So enjoy this quick, about 10-15 minute chat with David Tossell. So sit back and enjoy. Joining me today on Zone Coverage Football Show is David Tossell, the Director of the Public Affairs for NFL in the UK and Europe. David, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the line. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Mark.
Brilliant. As we were just discussing, news broke last week about the NFL's new deal with Tottenham. The NFL's coming to the UK for another 10 years. Could you give us a little insight into how this deal came about and what it means for NFL fans going forward?
Well, obviously, deals like this don't come together quickly, so there's been a lot of discussion over a long period of time. I think you're right. One of the big things about the deal, which I think is very important, the fact that it's a 10-year partnership that we're going to have with Tottenham starting from 2018 is obviously an indication that the NFL intends to be around for a good while yet in the UK. That's a long commitment. I think for us, what the really exciting part of this deal is that it gives us additional options going forward on the number of games we can play, the number of venues we have available. And that's obviously great news for fans because it gives us the potential to bring more and more games over here.
In regards to the 10-year deal at Tottenham, was there any other sites proposed? 'Cause I do hear a lot from fans saying, are we ever going to get any football up north or even in Scotland? Was that ever discussed at any point?
Well, I mean, the deal with Tottenham is, as you probably know, is not an exclusive deal. We will continue to play games elsewhere. We've had a long-standing relationship with Wembley, where we've been playing since 2007. Our deal with them expires after 2016, and we are very confident that we'll extend the deal there and play more games. We are open to looking at other venues as well, if they meet our requirements. But I would say that the focus, I think, will continue to be very much on the London and South East area. If the intention is to put ourselves in a position where we can make a judgment about whether a franchise should be sort of set up in the UK at some time, obviously that's a decision we've not made yet. I think the best way for us to find that out is to kind of continue to play games in London and the South East and sort of see how well they do. So, we never say never, but I think, if there are going to be games at other venues, it's much more likely to be London than anywhere else.
Talking of the London contract then, you did say that expires in 2016. There are a lot of rumours circulating at the moment that the Jaguars are intending to sign a new improved deal, and that the Green Bay Packers could be one of those teams as well. Could you shed any light into any of that?
I can't. That's media speculation at the moment, and we don't comment on speculation. The only part of that I would comment on is, as I've already said, that we are, very hopeful and confident of continuing to play games at Wembley beyond 2016.
You can't blame a man for trying. If I didn't ask that, the fans would crucify me. So you say that we've got the scope to expand to more games. Obviously, we've got Wembley and now the new venue at Tottenham. How far away are we from seeing 8 regular season games within the UK?
Not sure at the moment. We don't have a timeline on anything specifically at the moment. The deal with Tottenham, as we say, is for a minimum of 2 games a year from 2018. So, it gives us the ability to play more than 2 games a year there, as well as playing in other venues, as I mentioned. The great thing about the Tottenham deal, and one of the things that really excites us, is the fact that we will, for the first time, have our own dedicated NFL playing surface. If you've seen the plans for the stadium, the way it works is that the soccer pitch, the grass will kind of roll out in sort of 3 pieces and reveal an artificial NFL surface underneath. So that gives us a huge amount of flexibility in both the number of games that we can play and the scheduling of them. So in theory, I believe that you could have a Tottenham game playing on the Saturday, and then we could take over and play on the Sunday. So having that amount of flexibility obviously brings the possibility of playing many more games a season. Now, how quickly we will go up from the 3 that we're playing this year for the second time, and whether we get all the way up to 8. So one of the questions that people ask about, in terms of the potential for a franchise is, do we actually have to stage 8 games a year here to prove that a franchise would work? And I don't think we've really got to that decision yet. Yeah. It could be that after 4, 5, 6 or whatever, people think that there's enough research has been done. So there's very much a blank sheet of paper in terms of the timing of everything, and also the steps that we will take to get to a place where we feel we're ready to make a decision on whether a franchise should be set up in the UK. So that's all sort of somewhat vague sounding, but it is because it is very much sort of still up in the air. But obviously an exciting period coming up for NFL fans here.
Yeah, in regards to a franchise in the UK, I heard NFL executive Mark Waller, he was on the Ross Tucker podcast, I think it was this past week. He was saying that the majority of UK NFL fans actually want a franchise. But to be honest, I'm hearing sort of like conflicting reports into that what I hear from fans most of the time is we want the teams over in a rotation rather than a UK franchise. Do you think that would be a better idea going forward, or?
I don't think we've just made that determination yet, and obviously those are the options. If we want to have a full season of NFL football here, it's either everyone rotating around or it is a team. What I would say is that a lot of people who maybe say they would rather see a rotation of teams may be saying that because they feel they have a strong affiliation for a team already, and let's say, we often hear people say, "Well, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm never going to give that up. I'm not going to become a fan of the London team." But people in Carolina and Tennessee and other places, they were big NFL fans, and they had their own affiliations before their teams came into town, and it was the strength of the fan base there that encouraged the NFL to kind of place teams in those places. So, I'm not sure that we sort of necessarily buy into that argument. I think we would feel confident that if we did put a team into the UK, then a lot of people who currently are fans of other teams would either adopt the new London team as their second team, or would gradually over time come to find that they sort of took over as their favourite team. So I don't think we're concerned on that score, but you're right, we haven't yet sort of made the determination of whether we think a franchise or a full roster of 8 games a season with different teams would be the way to go. And we will obviously continue to gauge the sort of the opinion of fans as we go through this process.
Talking of the opinion of fans, I've got another bugbear that I'd like. Sorry to just hit you with question after question in regards to the fans. But there's a lot of people they do have issues with the availability of certain merchandise within the UK. Is that something that's going to be improved going forward? Obviously, we see the stands around Wembley when the games are on, but it's sort of like the online purchases and that are somewhat troublesome at times.
It's something that we've been very aware of for a while and continue to try and find a solution for. But the problem is that we're obviously we're working with sort of companies who are looking to bring merchandise over and have it available. But for them to bring over massive amounts of Cleveland Browns jerseys, for example, may not be the most economical way to do it. So it's impossible for us to have, at the moment, the range of merchandise that we know everybody would love to have available here in the UK. And sometimes that does mean the only way they can get it is by going to the NFL.com shop in the States and incurring some sort of shipping charges. It's something that we're kind of trying to work towards improving. Again, there's no sort of definite timeline for it, but it is certainly something that we are aware of and we understand is a frustration for a lot of fans. I mean, we see physical evidence of it when you look at the games that we play at Wembley. it's no coincidence that the biggest merchandise sales of any event at Wembley in any given year is always the NFL games. You know, the more merchandise sales at those games than anything else. But we understand, because that's a fan's chance to kind of get hold of, you know, a decent amount of product and to kind of be able to browse and have a look at what they want and make their choices. So we are very aware that it is a frustration. It is something that we're working on, and we will sort of strive to make as much merchandise choice available to people as we can.
Oh, brilliant news. My last question I've got for you then, David, is where do you see the NFL and the UK partnership 20 years down the line?
That's such a difficult question, because and interestingly, you say 20 years. In November this year, I reached my 20th anniversary of working for the NFL. Now, when I joined in 1995, we'd just relaunched the old World League as an all-European league. We were fighting to think, you know, how could we get the crowds coming back again to the London Monarchs, because during that first year in 95, which, you know, where I wasn't part of it, they'd struggled to get crowds in at Tottenham, ironically, just to show how these things go in circles. And, you know, if you'd said to me then that in 20 years' time you're going to be sitting on the telephone doing something called a live internet radio show with some guys who were talking about, you know, the number of games that we're playing in the UK and the possibility of having a franchise here, you know, I would have thought you were absolutely mad. So it's very difficult to predict where we will be in 20 years' time. All we can say is that wherever we are, whatever it is, whatever it looks like, we hope that it's a response to the kind of progress that we've made, certainly in the last sort of 8 to 10 years here in the UK, and that wherever we are, it's because that curve of interest that we have in the sport, and that we've seen rising in the last sort of few years, has continued to go in that direction. Now, and whether that means that we have a team here, whether that means we're seeing a full roster of games, you know, whether we have our own dedicated NFL stadium by then, you know, who knows? Hopefully we'll have more players like Menelik Watson and Lawrence Okoye and Jay Ajayi from the UK who are sort of making headlines in the States. You know, hopefully it will be a continuation of where we've come from in the last 20 years, but what that actually looks like in 20 years' time is anyone's guess.
Yeah, that's very true. I've thrown some tough questions at you there, David. I just want to say I really appreciate your time and thank you for coming on Zone Coverage Football Show. Where can people reach you if they want to get in contact with yourself?
The best thing is through NFLUK.com. We have an inquiries section there. So, you know, if people have any questions about NFL UK, whether it's what we do on the PR and media side, which is kind of obviously more my area, whether it's where we are with organising the games, whether it's the merchandise issue, tickets, if you send emails to inquiries@nfl.com, which you can find that address on our NFLUK.com website. That is where they'll come through to our team, and we can help answer any questions.
That's excellent. Appreciate your time, David. Enjoy the rest of your day.
My pleasure.
Oh, jumped in on recording that. There we have it. David Tossell, Director of Public Affairs for NFL in the UK and Europe, shed a little bit of light on the majority of the issues that us UK fans have. And talking of those issues, if you want to check what's going on in the chat room at Spreaker.com, search a Zone Coverage Football Show. There's plenty going on in there. We have an abundance of people. We have David, who's listening from Gibraltar. It's packed, so please get over there. There's plenty of conversation going on there. The majority of people just aren't up really for a UK franchise. I know we've discussed this over and over again. It's been done to death, so I just wanted to ask David that whilst I got him on the line, in fairness. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. So moving on then, I'm just going to check in on Twitter. If you want to tweet the show, you can at Zone Coverage FS. Will Davies tweeting in again, as always. He's always quick on the ball. He says the sound's a lot better this time round. As you'll remember, last week we had a bit of trouble with Volume Gate. The opening credits are absolutely ridiculously loud. Right then, Robert, who's usually in the chat room, he says, have a good show. He's not in the chat room today. I do believe he's on holiday, so he said he's going to check the pod out. the show when it goes back in its podcast form. Right then, let's gonna open up the phone line. So if you want to call and text in, do feel free to do so. The number is as follows. Call and text the show on 07444 048 266. I've got a feeling that might have just deafened you. Let's just go to the phone lines right now, hopefully. So, hello.
Hi, Mark. It's Cameron here. How are you?
How are you, Cameron? How are you, buddy?
I'm fabulous. Thanks very much. Really enjoying the show. What a fantastic interview with David Tossell.
I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, it was good fun. It just come about one of those swapping of emails and stuff, and then it's like, yeah, will you come on the show? And he was happy to oblige. So, yeah, it's quite a coup for the show.
That's great that you've kind of tilted his access in the sense that, a live kind of pod, a live kind of recorded show going out weekly. I think he's, you've recognised you've made his dreams come true in terms of some of the growth and the interest that you're generating. So fair play to you as well. So good stuff.
I appreciate that, buddy. What can I do you for today then, Cameron?
Just catching up, Mark. It's been such a long time since the kind of some of the mandatory kind of training camps have finished, and we're waiting for the training camps to start proper. I'm going round the bend just waiting for football to start proper. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, it's driving me insane. Not to disparage your Seahawks, but the chat with the banter that's going on with Russell Wilson at the moment is driving me insane, if I'm honest. Yeah,
and I mean the thing is, that all these stuff get played out in the media, and it's that it's kind of a distortion of probably what's really going on. I think there is certainly a trigger point coming up that I think if a deal's not done by the start of training camp, they're just going to park it. And I think the longer it goes on, don't get me wrong, there's no way that Russell Wilson's walking out the door from the Seahawks anytime soon. They'll franchise him next year, and then they'll do the restricted franchise the year after if they don't. But a deal will get done at some stage. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it gets done soon. But yeah, like you, I'm fed up of all the talk in the media. But you know what it's like, we get filled the airwaves full of content.
Yeah. What's your take on then? Because obviously he said he's not overly fussed if he plays on the $1.5 million or $25 million. What was your sort of thoughts when you heard $25 million? Did you say that's reasonable, too much, or?
I have him. I think for him, I think if he could get the same, just slightly more than Aaron Rodgers has currently got, I think you can say, yeah, if he got a good deal, the guarantees and how the deal's structured and all that type of thing, that's kind of detail. Ultimately, I think there's always the vanity piece. There's the number that says, hey, I'm the top guy right now. Is he worth it? He's a great quarterback. He wins games for us. He's got great kind of, he's got great clutch ability. He, Super Bowl aside, but he has proven to win games. He's got all. If you look at the fourth quarter comebacks, he's well up there in the charts. So he's a great guy. The type of guy you would cut your arm off to, or Jason Pierre-Paul blow your hand off for. Sorry about that. For leading your franchise, particularly you as a Jets fan, you're probably saying, I'd love somebody like that sort of, behind my centre right now.
Yeah, we're cursed forevermore. So I don't hold hope out for an average quarterback, never mind a decent one.
But the thing is, it's not my money, so pay him whatever they need to pay him. It's one of those things that, yes, it's going to affect the salary cap. And the Seahawks they have to keep a lot of people happy now. It's one of the factors of, when you're successful, that's one of your challenges. As long as you continue to keep drafting well, like the Packers have done in the past, like, the Patriots have done, these are franchises that kind of keep their success ticking over because they draft well continuously. And then they might have 3 or 4 good years and a down year, but continuously, for the long term, they're doing the right things. And I think that's the way the Seahawks are planning. So if we have to lose, maybe a quarterback here and, next year we're pretty solid. It's the year after 2016-17 season that I see the problems could be arising where the money starts to not be enough to please everybody. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I think, what would I pay him? I think he's in the $22 million. I think because the salary caps went up, I think he's certainly worth more than Cam Newton, in my opinion. People say, he's about the same as Cam Newton. I haven't seen anything from Cam Newton in terms of what Russell Wilson's delivered. Yes, he's a great human being, a great specimen of humanity, but he still hasn't achieved anything like Wilson's achieved in his short career. So, if you're paying for production and performance, Wilson deserves to be paid at a reasonable level. But as I said, it's not my money, so I don't really care.
That's a fair point. I'm glad that you brought up Cam Newton. I've sort of been on that sort of like bandwagon. I like Newton as a player. I feel he's got similar traits to Wilson. Obviously, Wilson does the better job, but they can both escape from the pocket. Very dangerous on the ground. Wilson's probably is way more accurate, to be honest, than Cam Newton. Newton he's got no touch at times, has he? The reason the Panthers drafted the receivers that they've got is because he's very erratic and these guys can go up and get the ball. So, and you also make a very good point that the results and stuff, they do warrant the big paydays these days.
I think the recent sort of NFL .com quarterback rankings, and I had kind of Wilson run about 5th or 6th, and that feels about right to me. I think based on what he does, I think he gets overlooked in a lot of conversations. But let's be honest, it's because he's not prototypical. He's doing it a slightly different way. But ultimately, he keeps putting those W's, in the win, column, and that's all that's really matters at the end of the day. How he does it, that's just down to style. As I said to you before, I'm a kind of old school kind of run it up the gut, sort of blood and snotters type football fan. So for me, the aerial balletics, is not the way I enjoy my football. But fundamentally, the kind of just the way Seahawks find a way to win. It's kind of whether it's with his legs, whether it's sort of throwing clutch balls, after having thrown 4 interceptions like we did against the Packers, and still find a way to win at the end. That for me, it says pay the man.
Yeah. Do you think the main sort of detractors, the detractors from Russell Wilson is they've got this great running game, and until Marshawn Lynch moves on, and then if Wilson does it, everyone will go, yes, you were right to pay him that money.
I think that's a factor in that.
Yeah.
The thing is, why wouldn't you run the ball so well when you've got Marshawn Lynch?
You'd be crazy not to.
I see so much in it, and there's the parallels with football, our soccer as well, that a coach should be able to take the talent that he's got and get a defence, a style of play that suits the individuals, rather than say, this is my system and you have to fit into this. So you can't knit American football players. You can't sort of say, you get the talent that you've got, try and get the best people that you've got in the position, and then you find a way that suits their strengths. And that's what I admire about the way the Seahawks have went about it. They've not been blinded by this is the way, Andy Reid style. Sorry, John Cartwright, but we were chatting in the chat room a few minutes ago about the Chiefs. But, Andy Reid's got his style, and he wasn't using Jamal Charles effectively last year. Wasn't running the ball enough and using that quick slant that, Alex Smith can throw, but never throw it more than about 10 yards. So I'd rather have someone who could say, right, okay, what can you guys do that? What's the skills we've got here? And then try and get a style of play that suits that. That to me makes more sense than actually just trying to stick to a wicked dogma of, we do it this way and that's the way we always do it.
Yeah, you make some great points there. The last sort of question mark, I'm sure you've got similar sort of doubts as well. Centre, Max Unger's moved on. I'm looking at the depth chart now. You've got some guy called Lamal Jean-Pierre. I can honestly say that I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he's been playing. Unger's had a bit of injury history. He's been dealing with a sort of a shoulder kind of problem and a few other things over the last couple of seasons. So Emmanuel Jean-Pierre's been getting sort of his starts. I think he had about 3 starts last year.
Yeah, 3 starts, yeah.
So he's solid enough. It's solid enough that we can trade him away. I think the key for us at the Seahawks is that we've got problems at guard, and we tend to try and go develop these defensive linemen and turn them into offensive linemen the way we did with J.R. Sweezy, who's actually an absolute tremendous run blocker and really aggressive, and it exactly fits the style that Marshawn likes to play. So we have a kind of, rather than take stud sort of a Pac-10 or sort of stud sort of guards out of Alabama or some of the big schools, they'll take some kind of defensive linemen from a small school and try and train them up, and that's something that Tom Cable's very good at. So I think there's some talent there, But yeah, to be honest, I've got concerns. We have to wait and see, how it's going to gel together. But we've got by with a dodgy line before. In fact, arguably the year we won the Super Bowl, we weren't a great offensive line, and actually had a few dodgy games down the stretch. So it just shows you, if your playmakers can make plays, you can cover some of the weaknesses you've got elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Sort of put you on the spot then. I know it's very, very early on in the season. Do you see the Seahawks getting back to the big dance for the third time on the row, or what are you? You a minimum playoff team? You're going to take the division, aren't you, Cod?
I'd like to think so. I certainly see the Cardinals looking very strong this year. I've yet to believe that the Rams can show it, because they threatened to deceive for 2 or 3 seasons now, and I don't really know what's going on at the QB position there. So, Foles doesn't seem to me like he's somebody who's going to take that on. I could be wrong, but I just can't see it right now. So we'll have to wait and see how the season kicks off. I think we can make the playoffs again. I think then it comes down to your health and your the availability of your key playmakers, and we started to struggle a bit. And 2 or 3 competitive seasons like that of getting to the NFC Championship games, and I'm sure that this affected the 49ers. That takes its toll. Yeah. When you're playing those 19, 20 games a season, and you get playing at a high level, I don't think you can sustain that, and I think you drop off a little bit, and I think that was what was wrong with the 49ers last season. So I think we've got another good season, I think we have, and then I worry what's slightly beyond that. But am I happy for the long term? Yeah, absolutely. I think we're well set up to be a successful franchise now for quite a long period of time.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting going forward. Definitely a team to keep an eye on again in 2015.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for letting me call in, Mark. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and great to have you back on the airwaves. Sorry I couldn't catch you last week. I was sailing down the Rhine while I was tweeting you back from holiday, so that was a very enjoyable experience.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed the nice, relaxing weekend, and a pleasure to have you on, buddy. The phone lines are open every Sunday. You're more than welcome to ring in whenever you like.
Cheers, fella. All the best. Good speaking, Mark.
All right, buddy.
Cheers.
Take care. Speak soon.
Bye. Cheers.
And there we have it. That was Cameron. He jumped from the chat room into the phone booth. Does that make sense? It does in my mind. Anyway, appreciate that, Cameron, for the call there, and appreciate the guys in the chat room. First time we've had calls on this new number, they did let me know it was a little low early on, and we sorted that problem. So I'm still getting to grips with the new board. I did upgrade the studio, and I did run a few checks, but I forget that my headphones are a little bit different sound than what you guys can hear. Right then, let's get to it. Let's check in and do some NFL news. NFL news. Right then, this happened. Missed this last week. Buffalo Bills offensive line coach Aaron Cromer, he's been placed in indefinite paid administrative leave. This stems from an arrest for assault and battery, the team announced on Tuesday. Apparently there was an incident down on some beachfront, something to do with deck chairs and stuff. There was an alleged sort of scuffle where he's alleged to have hit one of these young guys and threatened to do a hell of a lot worse. So yeah, since I think the police are still investigating, we don't quite know the full story. There's been one version of it at the moment. He's on administrative leave. It's a bizarre situation and a bizarre story. We worry about the players doing crazy things. Now we've got O-line coaches doing it. The NFL needs to sort this out. We just give them something to do. We're supposed to be on holiday, relaxing. Just chill out. The madness is just around the corner. Right then, moving on. Former Texans and Bears safety Daniel Manning, he's hung up his cleats. Manning spent 9 seasons in the league, started 56 games for the Bears, and also started 40 games for the Texans. We had... my mind goes completely blank. Ray Chan, San Diego Chargers of Bolt Talk podcast. He was on, I think it was 2 episodes ago now, on about the potential move to LA and stuff. While San Diego City Council voted on Tuesday to allocate $2.1 million to an environmental impact review at a proposed stadium site. This is seen as a last-ditch attempt to coerce the Chargers in remaining in San Diego, so I've not heard anything since, so that is ongoing there. The Indianapolis Colts, they will induct longtime center Jeff Saturday into the team's Ring of Honor. This is going to happen during their halftime the game against the Jets on September the 21st. He spent 13 years with the Colts from 1999 to 2011. Started 202 regular season games, played in 5 Pro Bowls, and received 2 first-team All-Pro honors over that span. I did talk. I did mention it with David Tossell about the rumours about Shad Khan's planning to make a new 4-year agreement with the NFL to play their home games, well, 1 home game per season in London. Still rumours on that, so I've not heard anything of late. I've seen a few Packers websites sort of fueling that rumour, but nothing concrete, so I'm hopeful that there'll be a decision down the line. Wednesday, a lot of talk about this in the chat room. That was a deadline for players to sign their tags, otherwise they weren't getting a long-term deal. They could only pen a 1-year deal. Money everywhere. A lot of chat in the chat room as well. So the Chiefs got the ball rolling first as Justin Houston inked a 6-year, $101 million deal. That included $52.5 million in guarantees. Houston's signing bonus was $20.5 million, and his contract, what is that? Yeah, $52.5 million guaranteed money. Very nice. There's a few jokes in the chat room about the next person up. It was kicker Steven Gostowski. He's now the highest paid kicker in the NFL. He inked a 4-year deal worth $17.2 million. He got a $6 million signing bonus. Not too shabby for kicking a pigskin. Right, next up, the big two. There's a lot of posturing from these two. I will not play in any game going forward and all this. We had from Des Bryant, Demaryius Thomas not turning up to camp and so on and so on. And there's a report about collusion, which sort of was very odd because Demaryius Thomas, his contract was a 5-year deal, $70 million contract, $35 million guaranteed. He got $17.5 million as a signing bonus. Also, Des Bryant signed a 5-year, $70 million deal. He got $20 million signing bonus, $23 million guaranteed upon signing his deal, and the rest of his $45 million in guarantees is due next March. It works out they're both on an average of $14 million a season going forward. The league also announced on Wednesday that the 2016 draft will be held on April the 28th to the 30th. They've yet to determine where this will be. I'm thinking Chicago is going to be the place again. It looked fantastic. The weather held up Chicago. There was plenty of sort of fans milling around there. It looked a hell of a lot better than the usual place in New York. Some sad news. Dolphins lost a coaching legend on Friday. Bill Ansparger, who coordinated the no-name defensive part of the undefeated 72 Dolphins, passed away aged 88. His Dolphins defense is ranked in the NFL's top 5 times and were number 1, twice they were number 1 overall. The 72, 17-0 perfect season, and again in 1982. Packers legend Brett Favre received a 4-minute standing ovation as he was inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame on Saturday night. He had this to say about this ceremony. All I dreamed about as a kid were Archie Manning, Roger Staubach. I never dreamed of being in the Hall of Fame, never dreamed having my jersey retired, never dreamed of Pro Bowls. Yes, did I dream about playing in Super Bowls? Absolutely. All of my dreams I ever had come true and then some. So there's a couple of videos on NFL.com with Favre there doing his speech. He clearly is very touched. He's emotional during that course. It's nice. I got a lot of respect for Brett Favre. He's one of the quarterbacks that were on the telly in the UK quite a fair bit during the 90s and into the 2000s. One hell of an arm. Again, arm-wise, he, like Cam Newton, did not know how to throw a ball with touch. It was a rifle, 1,000 mile an hour and nothing less. One hell of a player. So it's nice to see that all that drama with the retiring, unretiring is done and dusted. And the Packers give him a great standoff. Well deserved, and credit to Brett Favre on a fantastic career. Nice to see. Moving on then, the Jacksonville Jaguars released wide receiver Ace Sanders. He was a 4th-round pick in the 2013 draft. And Pats lineman Dan Connolly, he hung up his cleats. Spent 8 seasons with the team, making 71 starts along the line, 89 appearances in total. Right then, I can see the chat room is going absolutely berserk. I do apologise. I can't scroll back up once it's gone down. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat room. We've it's gone into Deflategate talk, so fantastic. So Sean Collins, he says he's seen the Brett Favre video, so please go check that out. It is on NFL.com. Very, very touching and highly recommended. Again, phone lines open. Call and text the show on 07444 048 266. Right, I'm just going to check in on Twitter. So if you want to tweet the show, it's at Zone Coverage FS. Let's see what we've got. I always forget to sort this out. Yeah, we have a tweet coming in from at UK First Down. Great interview. Granny. Glad you managed to hook that one. Keep spreading the word. So appreciate the kind words there. And that is it on Twitter. So if you want to get your tweets in, at Zone Coverage FS, most people seem to be within the chat room, so it's fantastic news. This chat room is evolving. As I did say, Noel's been a trooper this past few hours, retweeting stuff everywhere, like the majority of you guys have. I checked my numbers on Monday, and I think by like Tuesday afternoon we'd had more listens this week than we did the entirety of last week for the episode prior. So again, I know I've been advertising the hell out of it, and I really do appreciate you guys spreading the word. Right, what else do we have? Let's go through it now. We're going to look into we did the NFC last week, players under pressure in 2015. We are going to do the AFC, players who I view are under pressure in my eyes. We had some last week where I said maybe the situation wasn't favourable, or I felt they were under pressure because they were taking over. The centre we mentioned, Lamar Jean-Pierre for the Seahawks, felt he was under pressure, stepping in Max Unger's shoes there. So take them with a pinch of salt. If you agree, disagree, you know where I am, Zone Coverage FS on Twitter. And if you've got some views in the chat room as well, do feel free. I'll try and sort of keep an eye on the chat room as I do mention these. Right then, we're going to start off in the AFC North. We're going to go with the Bengals. I'm going to start off with defensive end Marcus Hunt, the Estonian national. He was one of the stars of the Bengals Hard Knocks. I think it was 2013, was it, the Bengals? Yeah. Anyway, he's one of the stars of Hard Knocks there. However, injuries seem to have plagued him. A 6'8", 290-pound defensive end. He's going to find himself on rotation for snaps behind Carlos Dunlop. Add to the issue, the Bengals bought back Michael Johnson. So Marcus Hunt there, plagued by injuries. I think he's going in now to his fourth year. He's on the roster bubble for me. He's going to be cheap, but again, so it's one to keep an eye on. Not one of the superstars. You'll notice that quite a few of these aren't like your big household names, but the sort of players that I've looked at and thought, well, is he going to make it? Is he not? So moving on then, we have the Cleveland Browns, and this one's more of fascination than anything. Wide receiver Brian Hartline. He had that fantastic season with the Dolphins. Could you call it a breakout year? I'm not really sure. But anyway, he had 6 years with the Dolphins. He registered over 1,000 yards twice. More shockingly, he failed to break 650 yards receiving in the other 4 seasons he was a member of the Dolphins. And he also only averaged 2 touchdowns a year. Not a great threat in the red zone. And this is more out of curiosity. The Cleveland Browns struggling at wide receiver. So it's going to be interesting how Brian Hartline goes there. If he bombs in Cleveland, is he technically done? I would imagine he might get some reps somewhere else. I don't know. So Brian Hartline, you're on my watch list in 2015. We move on to the Ravens. Left tackle Eugene Monroe. To be fair, in Monroe's defence, been absolutely outstanding over the course of the past few years. However, he missed a career high of 5 games during last season, adding insult to injury. He led the team as the most penalised offensive player. I think he drew 9 flags. And according to PFF, if you're into all your crazy stats, he allowed 3 sacks and 14 QB hurries. Again, it was hard to pinpoint a player on the Ravens team, really. But I'm just so used to seeing Eugene Monroe perform at a high level that last year he was a bit shaky and then injury. So he's on my radar in 2015 just to see if he can get back to that high level of play that he had prior to the injury. Right then, Steelers, we've gone with cornerback Cortez Allen. He's entering his 5th year and he come under intense scrutiny during the 24 season after several poor performances and inconsistent play. His poor play and inconsistent sort of coverage, that led him to being benched in week 8. They then tried him out at slot corner, but his poor play continued and he was then benched again. Is that not the ultimate insult? Get benched from your starting role as corner, put you in slot thinking he might adjust here, and he gets benched again. Double benched. So that's not good. And again, he signed a 4-year, $24.6 million contract. And again, for you number freaks, he gave up 34 receptions on 57 targets as the Steelers' D was ranked 27th against the pass. So Cortez Allen is, again, on my watch list in 2015. So as we break off, before we head into the AFC East, just going to check Twitter and the chat room. So, I'm not overly sure. Yeah, there's a lot of chat. I have no idea what you guys are on about in the chat room. I've missed too much of the conversation to get involved. Right then, here we go. Oh, Dennis Moss. We all know Dennis Moss, who's doing the Wrong Shaped Bulls tour. He does set off on that tour. In a few weeks, we're going to get him back on the show. His Twitter handle is @AZBoden. So that's AZBODEN. Doing the Wrong Shape Ball tours. He's taken in all 31 stadiums. So he's just dropped me a message saying he's listening to the show and he is recording his song Like a Touchdown. If you remember, he mentioned that during the interview. We're going to get Dennis back on and hopefully arrange something where we can check in with Dennis on his fantastic journey. So again, if you can retweet Dennis, that'd be very, very much appreciated. Some more tweets that we got. Question about where did you think Tom Brady's suspension is for 4 games, and will Jimmy Garoppolo get a 4-0 start? Jimmy Garoppolo is not getting a 4-0 start. You do face the Bills early doors. The suspension wise, I think I can't remember who mentioned it in the chat room now, but there's rumours that that's going to be sorted sometime next week. Can I see it being reduced? Nah, maybe a game. Might go down to 3 games maybe. Jimmy G, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think if you get out the gate, the Patriots, they usually start slow, don't they, in September? We've had a few teams push them close. I think the Raiders went close last year. I don't think that was in Foxborough, if memory serves me correct. We all know they slow out the gate. The Chiefs absolutely kicked the rear end. I do remember watching that game. So if they get out 2-2, 3-1, 1-3 would be quite disastrous. If you stay 500 through those 4 games, if it is 4 games, I can see it being okay. The East's going to be brutal this year. It's going to be absolutely brutal. I'll be surprised if they could get 3 teams out of the East this year. That'd be interesting. Right then, back to, and a perfect segue, talking about the AFC East, and that's where I'm going. New York Jets, my miserable New York Jets. We are looking at left tackle DeBrickashaw Ferguson. His play has declined massively. 2014, he was especially inept. His run blocking was just woeful. He's due $11.6 million this year. His cap figure is around about $14 million for 2016. Turns 31 in December. He needs to return to his best. There's a lot of question marks over DeBrickashaw Ferguson's play of late. He's made the Pro Bowl 3 times. I don't know if he's declining or whatever, but DeBrickashaw Ferguson, I've got my eyes on you going forward. We move then on to the Patriots. And as I mentioned at the top of this feature, I've got some that are intriguing to me. And one that's intriguing for me is cornerback Malcolm Butler. You'll all remember him. Yes, he was the Super Bowl hero. He finds himself at the forefront of the opposition's passing attack. Revis is gone. Brandon Brown is gone. Kyle Harrington's gone. So Butler's going to be under intense scrutiny. He faces competition for the starting gig from Bradley Fletcher to start opposite Logan Ryan. Was it a one flash wonder? Is he a playbook film guru that led to that fantastic interception? Is there more to that? Will Malcolm Butler step up? That's why he's on my radar in 2015. Not necessarily under pressure for poor play, just in the headlights, my end, to see if he can rise up, especially with the Patriots not addressing the cornerback as well. So all eyes on Malcolm Butler in 2015. Let's move on then to the Dolphins. Dallas Thomas, he struggled all over the line for the Dolphins. He is now entering year 3. He really needs to work on his pass protection. That's where he struggles most. Reports from OTAs have 4th round pick Jamal Douglas hot on his heels. So to add to the pressure of Dallas Thomas, Jamal Douglas has been impressing in OTAs. The last thing that Ryan Tannehill needs after that big contract and so on is someone that's very poor in pass protection. So left guard Dallas Thomas, A, can he nail down a starting spot and beat out Jamal Douglas, who is a 4th round pick, and B, when he's in, can he do a better job at protecting the quarterback? We go on then to the Buffalo Bills, and yes, I know, everyone's screaming, quarterback. I couldn't do it. I didn't know who to scrutinise most. The entire quarterback situation is on the radar 2015. Beyond that, it's a relatively talented roster, but another guard that sort of stood out to me as a right guard and a bully, Richie Incognito. Why Richie Incognito? I hear you screaming. The line, it was okay last year, but Incognito, he's expected to take over from the struggling Eric Pierce, who had a miserable 2013 season. He's now age 32. He's had a year out of football. Eyes are on him, not just on the field, but what he's been doing off the field. Can he bounce back on what appears to be his last chance in football? So my eyes are on Richie Incognito for the Bills in 2015. We'll check in. See, there's a lot of chat going on in there. Still in the chat room. So if you want to join in the chat, and also a heads up, if you're like a new listener and you're going, what are you on about? What is this chat? Once the show's done, you can go when I post that, you'll see like a little speech bubble icon. You can click on that and you can still like read through all the comments, and you can drop a comment after the show's finished. So if you're interested in what the guys have been saying, there's some great threads in there. You want to know what's been going on, just read that, comment afterwards, and just have fun. Come join the fun. There's been a lot of new people in there of late. Twitter, Matt Zone Coverage FS, if you want to tweet the show. Phone lines are still open while I rattle through these. If you want, the number again is... Call and text the show on 07444 048 266. Sound effects are a small joy. I'd need a drink. You'll remember last week I took a drink when Sean was talking. Did not go down too well. I couldn't get my drink down quick enough. I've upgraded to a straw. Drinking through a straw makes my life a hell of a lot easier. Right then, less of the peek behind the curtain and back to the players under pressure in 2015. We'll move on to the AFC South. I went for Colts cornerback Greg Toller. We all know about Vontae Davis was exceptional last year. But opposite him, Greg Toller, he's going to see a lot of what's the phrase I'm looking for? A lot of balls coming his way. He was impressive against the Broncos, divisional round of the playoffs, but many diehard Colts fans will be quick to point you to the woeful displays against the Steelers and Cowboys. So with Vontae Davis going to the Pro Bowl, he raised his status to another level. So the pressure's going to be on Greg Toller. So that's going to be interesting going forward. So keep an eye on that one. So that's Colts cornerback Greg Toller. Moving on to the Texans. I had a couple of linebackers here. I wasn't sure about Brian Cushing. He's been a bit hit and miss this year. I nearly went with Brian Cushing. He would have been like my 1B to the 1A, which is Whitney Merciless. He's just been up and down since arriving in Houston, in fairness. I heard a bang in the kitchen. I wonder what's going on. Anyway, back to Whitney Merciless. He's been up and down since arriving in Houston. He's averaged 6 sacks a season, and he's been a good edge run defender, but that's a far cry from his performances and coverage. He's been absolutely woeful. The question remains, though, are the Texans paying him this $26 million over 4 years for potential down the road? Or are they settling for mediocrity at this position? So Whitney Merciless, 2015, eyes are all on you. Moving on then to the Tennessee Titans, and we have centre Brian Schwenke. Started 9 games as a rookie, then found himself once again the starter last year, and my word, he was awful in both pass protection, against the run. Marcus Mariota, if you ever do sign a contract, you're going to struggle, lad. He then went on to finish the season on IR. He tore his MCL in week 12 of the season. The Titans then went out and drafted, what's his name now? Andy Gallagher, 6th round pick. He's the only other centre on the depth chart at the moment. So Shawanki is not only under pressure to perform, but to stay healthy, because this Titans line, it's a mess across the board. Michael Roo's retirement hurts them immensely. We'll stick with the line as we move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, Jokel could have gone with Jokel, in fairness. But we're going with left guard Zane Beadles. He started slow last year. He went on to have an okay season, solid in the running game, pass protection. But his Achilles heel, if he's got one, is his lack of agility. He struggles in the pulling and trapping plays. So it's just... we just need better play from left guard Zane Beadles. It's going to be interesting. Can the Jags get over this magical, what is it like, the 500? Can the Jags get to 500? They are now, the pressure's on. The pressure's gone on for Gus Bradley and co. We keep hearing they got a talented young roster. When are they going to step up? We'll talk more about the Jags when we get Tom back on from Huddle Magazine. So yeah, at the moment, left guard Zane Beadles. I'd be interested to know if Beadles... would you agree with that, Tom? I don't know. Am I digging a hole for myself there? Talking of digging a hole for myself, I'm expecting some slack for this next one. We move on to the AFC West. We're going to start off with the Broncos. I'm going to go with linebacker Danny Trevathan. Yes, he did lead the team in tackles in 2013. But last year he was hampered by 3 injuries to his knee. Picked up these throughout the course. I think it was like week 4, 6. And then he got another injury. This led to him having his kneecap replaced during the off-season. Add to the pressure of bouncing back from a kneecap replacement, he's also entering the final year of his contract. They're moving to a 3-4 system under Wade Phillips. Will Trevathan's body hold up against the run? He's going to see a lot more action. So it's a questionable one, my end. Danny Trevathan for the Broncos, yay or nay? We'll see. We'll move on then to the Chiefs. This one's for John, so I'm sure John's going to have this one under close scrutiny here. And it was sort of mentioned in the chat room earlier in regards to the wide receiver. And this one, for me, again, not really someone under pressure for the lack of touchdowns that plagued the Chiefs last year and stuff. This is more out of intrigue. And I want to know who is going to start opposite the big free agency signing, which was Jeremy Maclin. I feel the position's up for grabs. Many have Albert Wilson penciled in as the starter. So Albert Wilson, he is under the microscope in 2015. He was an undrafted rookie last season. His stats aren't fantastic. I think he had 16 receptions for 260 yards. He did become a bit more of a focal point towards the end of the season. Over the last 4 games, he was targeted 24 times. So, Albert Wilson, wide receiver, can he get a starting gig? We shall see. John, thoughts? We'll move on to last 2 here. The San Diego Chargers inside linebacker, Donald Butler. Again, he had a really, really down season in 2014. It was so bad that defensive coordinator John Pagano limited Butler to snaps on early downs. This happened during the latter part of the season. However, fear not, the Chargers did install some competition for Butler, hoping this will light the fire within him. They acquired Denzel Perryman in the 2nd round of this year's draft. So Donald Butler, you're under pressure going into 2015. Right then, let's see. Last one, Raiders cornerback DJ Hayden. Oh, you'll all remember DJ Hayden from last year. Peyton Manning absolutely loved him. He abused him a couple of times in those encounters. He's now entering the 3rd year in the league. He was the 12th overall pick in the 2013 draft, and he is struggling, really struggling. During OTAs last year's 4th round pick, Keith McGill. Keith McGill was actually rolling with the 1s. DJ Hayden was rolling with the 2s. So the main knock on Hayden, really, he lacks a physical presence. The receivers just go straight past him. So, as I said, Peyton Manning, wherever the receiver whoever was lined up against DJ Hayden last year when the Broncos and the Raiders met, and Peyton Manning just went after and after and after DJ Hayden. So it's going to be interesting. Can he step up, or will this Keith McGill, a 4th-round pick, will he become a household name for the Raiders? Wow, that's it. That is it, folks. That is your AFC Players Under Pressure in 2015. And we've rattled off an hour to show. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. I'm going to look to wrap things up. I'm going to check in on Twitter as we go. Nice hour show here. As I do say, as we get back into the nitty-gritty things, we do have the pre-season coming up. We'll start to roll out a few of the regular features. And talking of regular features, you guys will all remember this.
It's now time for Fan versus Fan.
Yeah, that's right. Fan versus Fan. I've got a few names jotted down for Fan versus Fan. And if you're new to the show, the premise of Fan versus Fan is we get 2 listeners on the show, and you get like I think it was a minute, 2 minutes, where you say why you believe your team's going to win on that particular Sunday. We then put this out to the listeners, who then vote for who put over the best argument. So if you want to be part of Fan versus Fan, just hit me up. You can do that on the Facebook page. You can email the show. That is zonecoveragefootballshow@mail.com. Just title it Fan versus Fan. Tell me who your team is, and I'll sort of create a list, and we'll see what we can get going forward. I know quite a few of the guys might have been on before. We can roll through those guys again. We can get some new fans on for Fan versus Fan. It'd be very, very much appreciated. Maybe David, the new guy in the chat room, maybe we could get him on as a Patriots fan for Fan versus Fan. So he does say, nice show, Mark is going to listen next week, so I appreciate that, as I do with everyone in the chat room. Nice to see a few new faces in there. So yeah, that's sort of a roll call for Fan versus Fan going forward. Also, we'll come back with like the hot route. That was like plays from the previous week. We'll get you voting on. We'll carry on with the Love Line feature as well. We're going to have some like fantasy news. We're going to have Tom with the latest news. I am working on another couple of features. The Not So Great 8, I'm probably going to bring that back as well. That was fun, ranking who I felt was the worst team in each division going through the season. So that's probably one that'll come back. Just got a message from Noel on Skype. I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, this should work, Noel, if you press the button on Skype, buddy. You've got a couple of minutes if you wanted to jump on. He says Skype didn't work. I'll just check, Noel. Should T-Mister, T-E-E-C-E, Mister Noel. I'm not overly sure. Oh, my Skype's gone down. Hang on. It's signing me back in. Yeah, sorry, Noel. It's jumped back online. My pad seemed to go down. You can give it another try if you want, Noel. Oh, here we go. Hello, Noel.
Hiya, Mark.
How's it going, buddy?
Not bad at all, my friend. I didn't know if you changed the number.
No, I think I've got like my iPad connected up for Skype, and for some bizarre reason, it sort of like kicked me out.
No problem. I just wanted to mention briefly to people out there, I know you've got plans later on near the season to interview people properly, but just thought I'd take the opportunity while I was here to flag up a few events surrounding the IS games that I know are going on. They're unofficial, but anyone that's a fan of any of the 6 teams coming over to London to play at Wembley this year, there's a guy that's put on a few events over that weekend. There's one sightseeing tour that's, I think, a 2 hour on an open top bus going round, the tourist sites. It's probably more for foreign fans than English ones, because we've probably all done the tourist sites.
Yeah.
But it's a good chance to dress up in your game day. Like you get those famous fans that wear their attire. Like, I think the Jets have a fireman fella. And
yeah, good old Fireman Ed. But can anyone top your outfit from last year, Noel? The blue Stormtrooper.
I didn't know you'd seen that. Did you
I've seen the pictures on Facebook, buddy. Yeah, fantastic. I'll take some topping that well.
Well, I'm actually going on the Lions bus. It's costing me not to see the sights. I can hardly see anything out of the helmet, to be honest. just to rep for the Lions and try and beat what the Raiders did last year, because the Raiders fans did a podcast of their bus tour.
Oh, right.
It's online. It can be found.
Awesome.
The video's on YouTube, and they're all dressed up, the old Darth Vaders, the gorillas, all the black and silver, and it's going to take some beating to do them. And I'm trying to talk Lions fans to come over that I know are famous, but I think it's the price of flights and things.
Yeah, it's expensive getting over the pond, isn't it?
Not only that, I think a lot of Americans get a lot less leave time. I think their employers have a lot more say about when they can have time off and how much than what we're entitled to over here in Europe.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot harder for them to, sometimes get the time to come as well.
Yeah, it seems to be like more long weekends for them where we get like block weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, so that with the cost, it's an issue. I'm trying my best to talk them in. A few of them, I would love to have had more of the seriously ones that I see at the games dressed up, like the Reverend of Raw. He wears a full-on silver suit, silver hat and gator shoes. And
nice.
I just can't seem to talk him on, but I need these guys if we're going to get anywhere near how good the Raiders repped on top of their bus. The other thing is the same guy is running the night before, the Saturday night before each game. I believe it's a joint party, so there's like one venue, but it's advertised separately to the two different sets of fans. So like the Saturday night before the Lions game, there'll be a party that's for the Lions and the Chiefs fans. It's at the same venue, and the Jets game. Who are the Jets playing again?
Dolphins.
Yeah, so there'll be a party at the same venue for the Jets and Dolphins fans. It's a good chance for, I think, the English fans to be able to meet American fans that have come over from the franchise, because over social media and the different fan groups, these events are being posted out to the fan clubs in the US, so that any that are making the trip over hopefully know somewhere to go and hang out.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great chance for people like yourself, being a Jets fan, to I don't know, make relationships and friendships with people that support the same team as you from over there.
Yeah, it could be like a gathering of misery for us Jets fans.
I can't tell you I've had too many great years following the Lions.
Yeah, that's true.
On success, although I have seen them beat the Jets in New York, which is one of my few live road wins. But there we go. And lastly, a bit of self-promotion here.
Yes, please do.
I don't know how many people are listening to your show that are serious, I would say, gamblers and NFL fantasy fans, but I still have spaces in a brand new live offline draft league that I am doing this year. It's rather expensive. It's £200 in a team.
Wow.
But it is the ultimate. It's going to be a keeper league in future years. This is the original year. It's not started yet. It started this year in August over the bank holiday weekend. The draft's in Red Hill. Full details about the league can be found on the fan pub. And Sean Connors, that was talking in your chat room, didn't know this, but he actually filmed some of last year's live draft, because the reason I'm starting this new league is last year's live draft went way better than I expected. It's created a lot of offline friendships. A lot of us met at one guy's house for a live draft party this year when we watched the live NFL draft. But some of the guys have actually planned a holiday together, and they're going over this football season to see some games.
Nice.
Just lots of friendships have developed. And
it's good to hear.
Out of my original 16-team live league last year, only 2 people were not returning. One, not because he didn't like it, but he told me he was starting a new business this year and all his money was going into that, and he didn't know how much time he would have available, because these are serious leagues to put into it, so he dropped out.
Yeah.
And the other guy, unfortunately, never got back to me, so I have no idea whether he liked it or not, or what happened. But everybody else was, bang, they want to come back. And the whole reason for setting up the new league was there was people that missed out the first year due to they were busy that weekend, they were on holiday, or were unsure about it. And now, obviously, there's not the room to get them in this year. So the only way was to start a new league. And the reason for the added expense and the more complexity for the league was, if I'm going to pay money to be in 2 leagues and I have to be in them to run them, I wanted there to be a great difference between the two.
Yeah.
So the first league is just like a brand new redraft every year. There's no carryover. But this new one I'm trying to get was to make it as in-depth for the hardcore serious fantasy fan, and to make it as much as like you would find in America as possible. So it's got individual defensive players. It's going to have 2 keepers maximum in future years. Obviously, this is the first year, so there'll be no keepers. So you're thinking for the long term and everything. There's going to be, if I get enough sign-ups, there's going to be weekly prizes. But, I mean, the league will run with a minimum of 8, and I've got 7 sign-ups at the moment, I do believe, last time I checked. And the maximum you can have is 16.
Right, nice.
I import a live draft kit, but anyway, I've gone on about it enough now. But if anybody's interested to see what it sort of looks like, and I'm embarrassed, but because I got a bit drunk at the last draft, nerves to run it, and I lost track of which players had gone, and the video that Sean shot was me trying to pick players that have already been picked.
Oh, brilliant.
As the clock was timing down and I was running out. And we were only in round 3, I do believe.
Oh,
so
no.
It got steadily worse from there. But
you've got to send me the link. You've got to send me the link.
He has posted a link to the video on the fan pub site, and that links to YouTube where you can watch the video.
Excellent.
I was hoping people would have a look at it and see how much different and more fun a live draft can be. And what I think this does is it brings people from all over the country. Yes, it might cost them a hotel room for the night, but what I've tried to do this weekend is I've got both leagues drafting the same weekend, and those that want to come early on the Saturday, we're meeting for a meal because I host it in a Toby Carvery, and it's right next to Red Hill train station, so you can't miss it.
Yeah. And
it's only like 3 or 4 stops from Gatwick Airport. We've actually got one guy coming in who has actually come in from Florida.
Wow.
He's an American. Last year he flew in from France for it, but he was working on a ship and he got shore leave for that weekend. So, all being well, he's coming again this year and he's going to bring my draft kits. His name is Drew. And on the Sunday, when the original league redrafts, there's a curry night planned for the Sunday night for the people in that league. And the people on the Saturday that don't need to rush off or have got a hotel room for the night, I'm planning a little pub crawl. Red Hill's not the biggest of towns, but some of the pubs and bars on a Saturday night only and Fridays open to like 1, 2 in the morning. There's like 5 or 6 in the town centre. I'm not a big drinker, but it's just one bar in each. Some of them have live music at a weekend, just sort of a social thing to unwind. And hopefully people might be interested in coming along. I wish I had a GoPro and knew how to film it, but I'm afraid they're not my skill sets. But it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like you've got your hands full as it is anyway.
Yeah, it's this year I probably will have a few more beers again. I'm kind of a wing drafter. Sean, he's the opposite end. A lot of them brought their laptops and they had their cheat sheets, and
right.
I just winged it, and I am so surprised I managed. I think I came 4th.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
League, but it just shows that you can not know the most, but you can still get lucky. I think there's a lot of luck involved as well. Because I mean, I felt very sorry. I was so lucky. It was a random drawing via envelopes for your draft spot, and I ended up with draft spot 3, and I wanted Adrian Peterson, but I was so lucky that the guy in draft spot 2 took him.
Oh, that worked out.
So you had one game with second pick overall, and his season was like toast. So you can be unlucky in fantasy too. But thank you for putting me on air, and sorry to make you run over.
Oh, you're all right. No, like I say, I've got scope to go a little longer. So no, it's nice to speak to you. We've not spoke for a while, mate, and doing some fantastic work. The website for most of the stuff that you've been on about is forum.thefanpub.com, yeah?
Yeah, I believe it's just thefanpub.com, I believe it is, yes.
Yeah, fanpub.com. So we'll get as many people as we can over to there, and I'm guilty of not signing up myself, so I will correct that by the end of play. I'll sort that out, so I'll get on there.
Okay, and I think your show's great, and I've been trying to push it around as many UK and Irish people as I know, and I think you've got a shout-out to my friend Robert McGregor. He's an Irish guy that's from one of my fantasy leagues, and I think he's tuned in today for the first time.
Awesome.
So hopefully he's going to be spreading the word around Dublin for you.
Oh, brilliant. I appreciate you, Noel. Like I said in the DM messages we had before I come on air, thanks for spreading the word about the show and for everything you do. It's very, very much appreciated.
I'm just glad you set it up, my friend. It's great to be able to call in without killing your phone bill to the US.
Yeah. That was one of the main reasons behind the show. Yeah, why incur a steep charge to voice your opinion when you can do it for free?
And I'm looking forward to your Is it going to be different times when the season kicks off, or are you?
No, we're going to go 3:30 till around about 5. The reason going earlier because I was finding a lot of people watching the Premier League games that kicked off at 4 when I used to kick off at 4. So if we can get people that half an hour, we can capture them. Hoping that puts pressure under me to make some good content for that half an hour. Hopefully they'll stay and listen to the show, spread the word. And we're finishing at 5. where it gives me scope to run over for half an hour back to the old time at 5:30. So it's going to be a minimum of a 90-minute show with the scope to be in a 2-hour show going forward.
Sounds fantastic, and I'll keep listening. Thank you, Mark.
Anytime, Noel.
I hope your Jets win for you when they come.
Me too. There'll be tears at Wembley. Never mind, wake up to Wembley. There'll be tears all the way home.
Will you be doing a live show from?
Yet to be determined. I honestly don't know what's happening.
Because obviously that day, I take it you are going to London for at least the Jets game.
Yeah, I'll be in London. Yeah, live shows and stuff. I'll put it this way: there's irons in the fire to try and get a live show. So. We'll see. If not, I might have to pre-record something beforehand. We might drop a podcast rather than a live show. But either way, there'll definitely be something.
No problem. And, thanks for having me. And go Lions and go Zone Coverage.
Appreciate it, Noel. Take care, buddy. Speak soon.
Cheerio.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
And there we have it. Noel, he finally got through on Skype. Fantastic show today. Really appreciate the call. Cameron ringing in earlier on. He double-teamed the chat room and then jumped on the phone as well. Again, Noel doing some fantastic work, spreading the word not only about this show, but go over to the fanpub.com. There's a lot of great content in there. It's just a really, really good forum. I was looking through some of the threads earlier on, so there's great chat going on in there. It seems to be evolving in the chat room I've got going on with the Spreaker show, so we're getting a bit of a crossover. So you're meeting good guys, and it's good fun. So please do go sign up for that, thefanpub.com, and head over to Spreaker.com while listening to the show. Search Zone Coverage Football Show. That's going to do it, folks. We've got an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to wrap this bad boy up. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you've got any sort of questions or anything going forward you're unhappy with, who I've mentioned, who's under pressure in 2015, hit me up on Twitter at Zone Coverage FS. Again, you can email the show if you want. That is, what is that now? zonecoveragefoootballshow@mail.com. Again, once the show is done, you can go back and go through the entire thread of all the chat that's been going on. You can post comments after that. I do keep an eye on them regularly. One last big favour, I know I ask a lot of you guys, if anyone's got like an iTunes account when the show's on iTunes, leave ratings and feedback on there. That helps give the show a bit of a bump as well. So until next time, we'll be back next Sunday. We shall return again 3:30 till around about 4:30, 5 o'clock, depending on how we go. So I appreciate everyone that's been in the chat room. I appreciate all the tweets and the phone calls today. You guys are absolutely awesome. You're taking this show to a new level every single week, and believe me, it's very, very humbling here. So thank you very much for that. So if I can find my sound effects, I'm panning for my sound effects. Very professional as always here. Right, one last thing for me to say. See you next week, and hustle, hit, and never quit.